Hey there, Facebook. I am just starting my live video on Instagram. Oh, it's not working. Hold on one sec. Technical difficulty. Just hold on. Here we go. I like to do, kill two birds with one stone or help multiple people with multiple things. It's Feeling Fab Friday. It's Amanda. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have not been feeling fab for the last week. Since last week I made the video, I was already sick last week, and it went into a full-blown, probably the worst illness I've had, like cold-wise. Never mind like giving birth or, anything like that. But as far as like a sinus infection, which I used to have a lot back in the day, so don't mind this look I got going on today, but I wanted to show up for you and be live like usual and be real, keeping it reals with the sick face, and talk to you about how to get over things, cold, sickness naturally. So I'm a big fan of all things natural, mostly because of hormones, being a hormone coach, obviously, and just protecting your body in general. The more medication and the more things we put in our body that are unnecessary, it affects our liver, it affects our digestion, which then in play affects our hormones. Because when our liver is so busy dealing with anti-inflammatories and all those things we're putting in there, and then our digestion is shut down through antibiotics, it can't work. Liver needs to detox, phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification properly to have your body working properly. Digestion needs to be working properly to absorb minerals so that your body can have hormonal balance. So minerals are the foundation of hormonal balance. Liver detoxification is also the foundation. So that is why we're talking about these things today, because the more natural things you can do, the less crap you're putting in and blocking your liver and your digestion from doing what it needs to do to keep you well, keep you healthy, keep you glowing, keep you radiant. So I want to share a couple of my favorite things. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I did all of my regular tricks and it did not work this time. Okay, so we're going to get to that in a minute, but let me share what I did do in the first place. So the first signs of feeling sick coming on, like, you're feeling a little stuffy, is the first time that you need to be putting homeopathics in your body right away. So I'm a fan of homeopathic medicine and kind of prevention stuff, and the sooner you do that when you're feeling symptoms, the sooner that it can work and actually get going on your body. So one of my favorite, and this is actually not a homeopathic, but one of my favorite things to take first, which I don't have a box that I wanted to show you, is called Counterattack. And in there you've got oil of oregano, you've got zinc, you have got echinacea. It also has I can't even think off the top of my head of the rest of the stuff that's in there. It's loaded with all the good things that you need to fight off illness. So I actually take 4 of those in the morning and then 4 of those at night, which sounds like a lot, but it's not, for the amount of herbs that are in there to fight off things when I feel them coming. And oftentimes I can ward it off just by doing that. When that doesn't work, which in this case it did not, I moved on to a little bit more severe stuff. So Counterattack is my first favorite prevention tool that you can do when you're feeling a little bit under the weather to protect your immune system or just at the earliest first signs. This is a great Umka Cold Care. This is homeopathic. For you on Instagram, this is backwards, but UMCKA, and it's a hot drink, and I personally like this one the best. And this is also great. It reduces your severity of the cold, and it really does make it less and less intense. So this is for cough, congestion, sore throat, nasal, bronchitis type irritation, bronchial irritation. So just for normal colds and coughs. You can also use this for children, which is hard to find stuff that you can use for children. So you can use this for children. I actually put it in one of those syringes that you would give children's Tylenol or whatever, and give it. I've been giving this stuff to my daughter since she was itty bitty, and small doses when she was younger, and now she can handle more of it. But it's great. It's homeopathics are mostly safe for children, and this stuff is great. So I love this. Next. Liposomal vitamin C. Now, I'm a fan of this for, my clients know this, for multiple things, not just for warding off colds and sickness, but in stress, depleting your adrenals and all those things. I love liposomal vitamin C. Now, oftentimes I get the packets. I get those off of Amazon, but I was in a jam and obviously very ill and didn't have the means to getting to, I didn't have time to wait for Amazon. Even Amazon Prime. I needed it right away. And so I got these from my local store, Lazy Acres, and this is Dr. Ricola, who's awesome. So you can take up to 2 packs of the liquid liposomal vitamin C, and you can take 2 capsules of this twice a day to up your immune system defense. Liposomal makes it more bioavailable and absorbed by the body. This stuff is great for your health in general. So that's awesome. Next thing to do, another prevention method is On Guard essential oil. So I'm a fan of On Guard. I'm a fan of doTERRA. I sell it. And not really, I'm not like an active seller, but I have a membership so that I can get it for so cheap. This is something I use for my daughter as well. I make this little glass bottle and I put the On Guard in there and I take it to her preschool when I pick her up and I spray her hands. This is antibacterial, antiviral, anti-everything and all natural. And her teacher always says how amazed she is that Audrey didn't get sick right away when she started school like all the rest of the kids. And I swore it was because of this hand spray. So I'm obsessed with doing hands with her and she knows the routine now. We've been doing it for 3 years. Make sure it's in a glass bottle, okay? So plastic bottles aren't gonna work for that for multiple reasons. I'm not a fan of plastic as a hormone coach in general for your estrogen levels, but the oils especially absorb the toxicity and you really need it to be in glass. So you can order these online or get them wherever. So that's a great prevention method and you just spray your hands, spray your kids' hands, spray everybody in the room's hands. You can spray toys when you're out at play places. You can spray it, seats on the airplane. I use this stuff everywhere. I take it everywhere when I travel, spray down the whole airplane. So love that stuff. Okay, turmeric. This was another thing I did for inflammation. So what ended up starting as a cold turned into a full-blown sinus infection. And so then I started to up my game of I was still taking my other stuff, but then I moved on to turmeric. And this helps with lowering inflammation in general. And it's a great trick for anybody who has anything inflammatory, whether that's something like mastitis or, inflammation in your joints, your bones, turmeric. Okay, so I did as much turmeric as I could handle in a glass with water. Don't forget to add activate it, black pepper to activate that turmeric in your drink and shoot that back, a little turmeric shooter. Good times. It's a wild Friday night for me. Next, I tried all sorts of solutions for my sinus infection. So I used to really battle sinus infections and this one was just feeling way worse than anything I'd ever been struck with before. Now I found out why later. Ooh, where's my garlic? Yeah, here it is. I got all my tricks over here. Garlic, raw garlic, another great thing to do, antibacterial. This is great for colds and flus and sickness. I literally press it, so I get my garlic press and I press it right into my glass and then I add water and shoot it back. It's the easiest way to get it in versus like trying to eat a whole clove or whatever. You lose the potency when you cook it, so raw is necessary. So I literally use my garlic press, make it itty bitty in a glass with water, shoot that shit back. Good stuff. So I started moving on. Oh, this is leaking. That's not good for anybody. To trying to irrigate my sinuses, which a neti pot, I know a lot of people have heard of that. This is a little more, it gets up there in all the places. Like when you do the neti pot, sometimes it's not getting enough force to get the mucus out. So this was helpful. And I used this. This is totally leaking. So I just got this at CVS, and you can buy them there. And you can make your own solution here with some salt or the little packets that they do have in there, not terrible. And add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Not a lot. It needs to be highly, highly diluted because it's not going to feel great. But it helps getting it up in there and get the infection out. So, and you can squirt it in one nostril, plug it, tilt your head back, lean it forward, and watch all the gunks come out of the sink. Good times we're talking about. Anyways, I also did shots of apple cider vinegar, which I usually do just to help alkalize things and kind of help pH levels in my stomach, help fight off all sorts of stuff with that stuff. It must be Bragg's, has to be raw. Grapefruit seed extract, also helpful for sinuses. So you can take this internally, and you can also put this in the nasal spray. You can make a little nasal spray with some of this, and you don't want to do more than like 1 or 2 drops to warn you about that, but this can be really helpful with sinus infections. Another thing I did was this Breathe stick from doTERRA. I love this one more than the oil, just the stick, because you can put it on your chest. It's great for kids, and I love that because you don't have to dilute it. It's already done. And I didn't have any of the other oils, so I used this in a pot and put steaming water in a bowl on my table. I scooped some of this in there. It's strong, you do not need much. I put a towel over my head and I let the steam come up and totally drain everything from my nose. So that was also delightful. But honestly, it helped relieve so much of the pressure. I can't tell you how much pain I was in, you guys. It honestly felt like somebody was hitting my face with a baseball bat. And it's still painful on this right side. But what happened was, for my case in Santa Barbara, the air quality has been so poor from the fires and everything that's been going on here. So my nasal system was already compromised based on particles and low air quality, poor air quality. So when I got sick, it was already inflamed, and then it just got really bad, which is why it was so terrible. And I had to make a call to go to the doctor because all my tricks weren't working. And that's basically, you know, my natural tricks that I have for you of steaming and, you know, hot compresses, using essential oils, using turmeric, using garlic, you know, tea, echinacea, all those things are good. I just like the stuff that I offer to you, like the counterattack, the uncooked cold care, liposomal vitamin C, all those things to kind of defend and fight it off, and do your best. You can also do olive leaf extract, which is a good option. I was trying to see if I have some here. Oh, and vitamin D. This is for children as well. This is the stuff I give my daughter, liquid vitamin D. So vitamin D is also helpful. And go get adjusted. If you have a chiropractor, my chiropractor is awesome. It's Dr. Nick at Santa Barbara Family Chiropractic, and he did a little work. He adjusted my ears. He did a little work on my sinuses and my neck. Everything was so inflamed. So he was gentle, but he did well with me. And that can be helpful to get adjusted anytime you're feeling a cold, keeping yourself warm, all those things. I took a lot of baths with Epsom salts, which also helps detoxify the body, and I was very achy. So then what happened is I got into the mode where I literally couldn't move. I had blood coming from my sinuses, and I was in really rough shape. I was nauseous, and some of that had to do with my inner ear. And it was just the sickest I've ever been, you guys. So again, I think it was so bad due to the compromise that I already had in my system. So I went to the doctor. Now this doctor I trust because I've gone to him before, and you know, he's not a fast one to just write antibiotics, which a lot of doctors are, and a lot of people go to the doctor for sinus infections before they really need to. So a lot of sinus infections start out viral, and they don't need antibiotics. They just absolutely don't. And I'm going to show you another trick of some pressure points that I learned this week that can help drain the fluid as well. But before that, I'll just go into you know, what I'm talking about here. So a lot of sinus infections just don't need antibiotics, and people go anyways and they get them, and then what happens is their body becomes immune to using antibiotics because they're being used all the time, and also it really disrupts the gut. So I am currently on antibiotics because he took one look at me and he knew that my virus had turned into a bacterial infection because of everything that was going on. He looked at my ear. I was in really rough shape, and he said, all right, no, you need antibiotics. And I believed him. I was in such bad shape. I did not argue, which usually sometimes if they give me a prescription for antibiotics, sometimes I don't even go fill that because I try my other stuff. But at this point, it was no go. So antibiotics sometimes are necessary, and thank God for them. when they are necessary. Because I was so sick and I needed something to cure up the infection fast because it was starting to spread to the rest of my body and make me really weak and unable to move and do all those things. So they put me on antibiotics, and I will just tell you, I forgot how terrible it is because it's been years and years since I've taken them on your digestive system. And obviously I've done so much work to make sure my gut is clear and healthy, and it plays such a role in the hormones. And, you know, I used to have like, you know, a bloated belly a lot of the time, or just not able to get that flat tummy that I wanted. And a lot of it was due to bad bacteria in my body and not having good bacteria in my stomach. So if you absolutely have to go on antibiotics, there's no other choice. You're so sick that this is what you have to do. You need to do it wisely. So you have to take your antibiotics at the same time of day, the morning and night. Now, around that time, you don't want to put any probiotics in your body. Obviously, that's going to defeat the purpose. But when you have passed 2 hours, 3 hours, if you really want to be safe between your antibiotic doses, it's a good time to take a probiotic. And that's going to counteract the damage of what the antibiotics do. So just to give you a little bit of overview about what antibiotics do, you know, they kill all the bacteria in your body. They kill good bacteria, bad bacteria. Basically, antibiotics, you know, means anti-life or antibacterial life, and they prevent bacterial cells from multiplying so that the immune system can naturally step in and finish the job. And, you know, they interfere with a lot of different processes. And, you know, the one I'm taking is a broad spectrum one that's effective over a bunch of different bacteria, but this kind has more risk to take. And, you know, they wipe out all the good and bad bacteria in your system, and then now it just becomes this vicious cycle because people get to be on them at all. But we can do some things to prevent that. And, you know, the microbiome is so essential to maintaining good balance that we need to do some work on the side when we're taking them to make sure that we are keeping the probiotics, the good bacteria in there, and getting rid of the bad bacteria with, you know, that from the sickness, from the bacterial infection. And so you just want to make sure. So some of the things that can happen when you are in antibiotics is that it can keep you from absorbing your nutrients properly, can keep you from digesting your food properly, it can keep you from balancing your blood sugar, it can keep you from regulating your immune system and balance your emotions. And the reason why your emotions come into play is because serotonin, over 90% of that, I just want to check my facts that I wrote down real quick, 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut. That's a lot. Serotonin is that feel-good hormone. So if your gut is not working properly, you can bet that your mood is going to be off. So yes, this comes into play right now with what we're talking about, but this can be a long-term issue if you've got gut issues. So when you take a probiotic while you're on antibiotic, again, like I said, you want to make sure it's 2 hours from when you took the antibiotic. And when you take the probiotics while taking antibiotics, you have a 60% reduced chance of having your gut microbe overrun with you know, the bacteria that can come from being on antibiotics. So, and you really want to make sure you're doing that. So spread out your doses, make sure that you're not taking them all at once, 2 hours after taking antibiotics before you take your probiotic dose, and this will give the probiotic more time to settle and to set up shop in your gut. And this is the one that I love. It's called BioK. And it's a liquid one, so it's pretty potent, and I enjoy it a lot. I also am a fan of the Nature and Healthy Starch System. So here you go, you can see this. I get this in the refrigerated section. I get the fermented rice one, the non-dairy, and I drink that whole thing a day in between my antibiotic doses. The other thing that can help is magnesium. So magnesium is really important to hormonal health in general. It's also very important to the gut, and deficiency in magnesium causes dysregulation of gut bacteria and those microbes. And so you want to help encourage this good I'm just making sure this is not leaking all over my computer. That good bacteria. So I would take your probiotic, whether those are pills like the Healthy Start System or the BioK, in the middle of the day if you take your antibiotic in the morning. And then your nightly dose, like say that's at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, 10 hours later from your first dose. I would wait 2 hours and then I would take this before you go to bed. And you want to heat this up to activate it, the natural calm. You can't just put it in cold water because it doesn't make the interaction that needs to happen. Now, you don't have to drink it hot. Once it cools, you're more than welcome to put it in cold water, add it to ice, whatever you want to do. But you need to dissolve it in hot boiling water to get it to work properly. So this is great, can help with sleep, and it helps your gut in general to be repaired. So those are my advices and tools for overcoming sickness the natural way. And if you have to be on antibiotics, what to do. Now, I help my clients long-term deal with their gut issues so that we can have hormonal balance. Because if the gut is not taken care of first, you can guarantee that A, that you're not going to absorb any of the supplements that I'm giving you for hormonal balance, and two, you're not going to be absorbing nutrients from food or anything that you're doing. So we really need to make sure that that is working properly. And part of that is if you've been on things like birth control pills, if you've been on a lot of antibiotics, if you have issues with your gut and you know that, you need to do some work on it. So I invite you to book a call with me if you're interested in knowing more about this and how it plays a role in your hormonal health and your serotonin levels, because if you've got gut issues, then you've got mood issues. And if you don't have good serotonin, you are not feeling good at all. So I would love to help you. I will post the link below to book a free call with me where we can talk a little bit more about your health. Thank you for being kind to me today as I'm still overcoming my illness. I cannot wait to be done these antibiotics and then do a whole gut reboot. Might be a new program I'll do, which I'm gonna do after I'm off. So anyways, here's to your health and doing it the natural way, which is harder sometimes than just taking pills, but I promise you it's worth it for your health, your well-being, and your body. So this is Amanda from Sozo Wellness, which is health, mind, body, and soul, wishing you a very feeling fabulous Friday, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.